Today I'm going to show you how I made this Philadelphia Phillies Phanatic cake. Come join me. So this is going to be a 2-tier cake. The bottom tier is going to be a 2-layer 6-inch chocolate cake. So I started with stacking the bottom tier. So the chocolate cake I added to the cake board, and I'm just covering this cake. Now this cake I have more flat on the front because this is where the front of my Phanatic is going to be. I'm going to have a snout against this flatter side. I put this into the freezer after it came out of the oven so that it would flatten as it froze, and I did that intentionally. And I really am thankful that it turned out just as I wanted it to. So I am crumb coating this bottom tier, and then once I get that bottom tier crumb coated, I will begin to work on the next tier as well. So now I'm just kind of adding some additional icing to make sure that it is fully coated, and now I'm beginning to work on that top tier. So this top tier is a 4-inch vanilla cake, and this top tier is going to be a baseball that's going to be on the head of my Philly Phanatic. So now I'm going to just cover and stack and cover this baseball tier. After fully coated, I'm going to put this into the freezer, and now I'm going back to working on my Phanatic. I'm using a grass tip, and I'm just kind of covering this up with the fur of our Phanatic. Of course, this is going to take a while because there's a lot to cover, and it's just a tedious process, but it works wonderfully for what we're trying to achieve here. There, I'm just pushing the fur up against the bottom of the cake to clean it up a bit. And now that we have that all done, I am going back to working on my baseball tier, and I am moving forward to put my top coat on and just cleaning up all of that icing to make it nice and smooth. Putting my final layer on, and I'm going to smooth it out, and then we'll be ready to work with the final canvas. And now that I have that done, I'm going on and I'm covering up a cupcake that I'm going to put onto the front of my Phanatic for his snout. You can see me doing that right here. And once I have that placed onto the front of my Phanatic, I'm going to go back and I'm going to ice that snout. So first covering it fully with the white icing, and then I'm going to go back to using some green icing. First a star tip, and then also I will use my grass tip on the front. Now I'm going back to that baseball tip and I am adding the stitching to the baseball. So on both the sides and on the top, I'm going to add the stitching that holds together the baseball. So I'm doing my best just to kind of keep it even so that it looks the same when you're looking at it from any of the angles. At the end of it, I do notice that it's not 100% even, but I am quite satisfied with how it does end up turning out. And I'm just pushing down those stitches if they came up as I was piping them on. And now that I have those done, I'm bringing out my Phanatic again, and I'm going to prepare to do the eyes for my Phanatic. You see me adding the white of the eye, and I'm using a little bit of water to help keep the whites on the grass of his fur. So I'm just adding those nice big eyes until they're the shape that I want them to be. I think this was probably the hardest part, was getting his eyeballs right. Here I'm just using a skewer to pick off some of the white that I got onto his fur. Then I'm using like a purplish pink color to add his eyebrows the way that they are. I put one layer and then I'm going back and adding another row of eyebrows in this color to build it up a bit the way that his are. And you'll notice I also added blue. And here I am adding the tear to the Phanatic's head. And I'm just kind of added some icing and now using my spatula and my fingers just to push that down to even it up a bit. So I'm using a skewer and I'm going to hammer that down into the cake board to keep it sturdy. And I'm going to fill in the hole where I just hammered down into that. And now I'm going to cover his head so that you can't see the white part from where I put the ball on top. So there you have it. We have our Phanatic and we have our baseball. Now we just have to finish up some of the extra details. Just making sure you can't see any of the white. And now I'm going back and adding some pupils for his eyes, and I'll use my tools to get them into the shape that I want them to be. And of course, we can't forget to add his tongue, which we're going to do right now. Here I used a big leaf tip to add that. And I'm also going to add a little bit of a message here. It's going to say Happy Mother's Day from your biggest fans. Fans spelled like fanatics. So Happy Mother's Day right here. And on the side I'm writing from your biggest fans. And then I also want to add a bit more detail once I get this all cleaned up. I want to add the Phillies P to the top. So here I am just cutting that out of fondant. I'm adding that to the top. I also added a fondant baseball and a bat. And this is what it looks like once it's done. Here's it from the front. And of course, I also wanted to show my mama seeing it. She did love it. If you enjoyed watching this, please like, comment, share, and come watch my next videos. Please subscribe.